If I asked you to name 10 different blades in The Legend of Zelda, which ones would come to mind? You'd likely be able to rattle off a fair number, I'd wager. After all, this world is home to a great number of diverse cutters. The Legend of Zelda has always been, at its core, a game of adventure, magic, and weapons. It would be reasonable to say that anyone who would consider themselves a casual enjoyer of video games has at least heard of Zelda's most recognized weapon, the legendary Master Sword. In today's video, I would like to put the spotlight on this series' more obscure blades. To that end, some of the more well-known slashers will be omitted from this list, such as Demise's Sword, the Fierce Deity Sword, and the Great Fairy Sword. Without further ado, let's take a look at some of the most unique blades in Zelda. What better place to start than at the start of the series as we know it? In Skyward Sword, one of the most enjoyable boss fights in the game is against the ancient automaton, Koloktos. After making our way through one of the best dungeons in the franchise, it is capped off by a memorable boss battle. During the engagement, Link will disarm Koloktos, quite literally. This gives Link the chance to wield the gigantic curved sword that was once pointed in his direction. While its destructive power is impressive, this massive cleaver might be a bit too cumbersome for someone Link's size. It's too bad Link can't just keep any item he comes across in the game. The Demon Lord Ghirahim is not just the owner of the next blade, but is a weapon himself. The Demon Lord is dueled on 3 different occasions. During the first fight, Ghirahim wields a single-edged dark saber, as well as multiple throwing knives that he launches with his telepathic powers. Later in the story, Ghirahim can be seen wielding a double-edged sword of a more stout blade profile than before. This upgrade seems to give him more powerful thrusts and stabs, allowing him to pierce Impa's barrier. In his final battle, Ghirahim reveals his true form and bears a massive Zweihander. This weapon is so large that it even acts as a shield for Ghirahim. The red jewel present on all of the other weapons is hidden inside the core of this blade. Ghirahim is quite a proficient swordsman in his own right for him to be able to wield all of these different sword styles. LD-002S Scervo was a robotic pirate captain that overtook the crew of the sand ship that housed Nehru's flame. While Skipper was no match for him, Link's swordsmanship was more than enough to deal with this pile of swashbuckling circuits. Scervo's weapon of choice is a cutlass, except it isn't. While the handle of his sword resembles that of a traditional cutlass, the blade itself is replaced with a sturdy drill bit. Scervo is not the only one to wield this weapon. LD-003D Dreadfuse, who resides in the Skykeep, also brandishes this creative sword. What's more, he is able to electrify the length of its blade, making it dangerous to clash with. I suppose if these robotic warriors are meant to face off against their metal kin, then it would make sense that a weapon resembling a screwdriver might be somewhat scarier to them than a regular blade. The Shadow Folk, the Sheikah, made their first appearance in Ocarina of Time. This entry established them as sort of a ninja-esque archetype. This trend would continue even into modern Zelda games such as Tears of the Kingdom. Our first exposure to a person known to be a Sheikah was Impa, the attendant of Princess Zelda. While we never get to see her in combat, we do get a small glimpse at her blade, and it fits well with what we have come to expect from this race of shadow warriors. This small curved knife seems to be more suited to stealth, as befits a Sheikah. It even has a small print of the eye symbol on its scabbard. As a side note, this weapon can also be seen being wielded by Sheik in an official artwork for Ocarina of Time. When you think of Ganondorf's weapons, you probably picture several options. He's used the trident, dual swords, the Sword of Six Sages, and gloom weapons. He's even known for his huge sword in Smash Bros. But there's a far more obscure weapon that he possessed in Ocarina of Time. Strapped to Ganondorf's leg armor is a knife with an offset blade. It is wrapped in traditional Gerudo cloth that can be found elsewhere on his armor. It's pretty difficult to glimpse this during the game, but you can see the handle of the knife behind his leg in this artwork. It's a shame that we never see him use this weapon in any capacity, as it would have been cool to see Ganondorf performing the basics of CQC. A fighting style using a knife might have complemented his extraordinary physique and made for an interesting stage of his boss fight. If any of this is new information for you, consider subscribing to Rated N for the most obscure and hidden knowledge about the universe in The Legend of Zelda. Let YouTube know that you'd like to see more of this content by liking the video. Now, let's check out a few more interesting exhibits. This next entry is a personal favorite of mine. During the events of Majora's Mask, the hero travels to Snowhead Village and can enter a small cabin. This cabin contains several weapons that would be good candidates for this list. Link can have the Mountain Smithies, Zubora and Gabora, forge him an upgrade to his familiar Kokiri sword. The Razor Sword, while fragile, is an awesome fictional design and acts as a midway point to gaining the Gilded Sword. While this weapon operates off of the rule of cool, the game does reflect the weakness in its imaginative design by making its structural integrity somewhat lacking. This weapon will break if overused. Breath of the Wild was not the first Zelda game to employ weapon durability after all. The gap between the blades on this sword is probably the main contributing factor to the fragility of this weapon. Those spiky bits on the handle may also be pretty uncomfortable as well. However, since this sword often never gets used on the way to gaining the Gilded Sword, I believe it deserves a spot on this list. Twilight Princess had quite a few blades to choose from for this video's purposes. In fact, the first subject for this game's contributions isn't exactly a weapon at all. This item is something that belongs to a certain spectacled character named Shad. This member of the Resistance can be found out in the field performing research, or meeting with the other members at Telma's bar. When we encounter this fellow, we can observe that he carries a book with him that is emblazoned with a symbol representing the ancient sky beings. Tucked into the top of this tome is a bookmark. Rather, it's a small knife being used as a bookmark. It appears to have a slender blade profile with a bronze guard, handle, and pommel. I suppose even a man of letters needs to have a little something to protect himself should the need arise. Maybe there are some spells in that book he carries that can supplement his lack of armaments. The Arbiter's Grounds holds many objects that are related to what we are looking for in this video. While the obvious choice here is the Blade of Death Sword, I've decided to choose another sword instead. The blade we are examining rests in the boss chamber of this ancient prison. Specifically, it rests in the skull of the dungeon's boss, Stallord. In order to intercept Link, Zant materializes a Twilight Claymore and thrusts it into the skull of Stallord. Its dark magic revives the monster, which then begins the boss battle. A close-up of this weapon shows us that it has a distinct Twilight design. The serpent imagery is present, as well as an eye symbol on the pommel of the weapon. A sword with a guard shaped like this would be fairly unusable compared to a regular shaped guard. You would have to grip a handle like this from the side, and you would not be able to achieve proper edge alignment holding it that way. Something like this would probably be merely a ceremonial or ornamental weapon rather than a combat weapon. Princess Zelda's appearance in this entry of the franchise is no stranger to leading her soldiers in battle. During a scene showing what happened to Hyrule Castle, Zant's Twilight beasts invade the castle and lay waste to the knights guarding the princess. Here, we can see that Zelda has her own personal rapier. At the end of the game, a Ganondorf-possessed Zelda turns her blade on Link and attacks in an unconventional way with her sword. Taking a closer look at the blade, we can see some details such as the fuchsia handle and the gold ricasso, elements fitting for royalty. The slim blade profile would probably be great for thrusting, and also be lightweight for someone with Zelda's delicate frame. It's not often that we see Princess Zelda wielding her own weapon. However, there is one more example of Princess Zelda using a rarely seen weapon in the series. In the most recent Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, we discover that there is an imposter posing as Zelda during the course of the game. This puppet Zelda is merely a phantom controlled by Ganondorf. However, despite being merely an apparition, it does have a moment which shows us another unique blade. During a scene which Queen Sonia and the real Zelda confront the imposter, the monster will brandish a knife and hurl it in the direction of the queen. Using her time powers, Zelda briefly stops the assassination attempt. Let's have a look at the knife. It's somewhat difficult to say for certain where this dagger comes from. The gold trim and the curved blade, as well as the involvement of Ganondorf, make the case for its origin being Gerudo. However, it is also possible that it could be from something else, like Zonai-era Hylian. If you have an idea of where this could be from, leave a comment and share your thoughts. Thank you very much for checking out this video. There were a lot more weapons, armor, and other interesting items that didn't make the cut. So if you would like to see another video that is similar to this one, which showcases obscure objects in the world of Zelda, let us know in the comments section. Liking the video is very much appreciated, and be sure to subscribe before you head out. We'll catch you all in the next one, so until that time, keep it rated N.